I love you.
Salutations, couch potatoes. Thanks for joining us. We're Green and Faceless on the couch. I'm the Green Traveler.
I'm the Faceless Leon. This here is a podcast, and it's about movies. And
Yeah.
so there might be some spoilers ahead, but we try our best not to. At the very least, we want you to feel like, hey, I want to go see that movie after we're done talking, so we're not going to ruin it for you. And also, we're probably going to mention world events because it's the world and that's what's going on. But obviously, that's not our focus. Our focus is to talk about some great films.
Yeah.
So
we're just two boys talking movies.
That's
right. And occasionally our lives are going to slip into that conversation.
Occasionally.
And,
this is also kind of how we catch up. So,
yeah.
It's a great tool for that.
It really is.
Yeah.
Today we're coming at you. We're still in Halloween. And by the way, we're getting close to voting season. So if you're able to go out and vote, I think that's important to throw out there up front.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most states are allowing early voting. So if you're not going to vote by mail, go out and vote now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're still in Halloween season. We're still going with the Halloween spoopy threesomes. And today we sometimes you just need a refresher. Too much horror can struggle the mind a bit.
We gotta
struggle the mind. Yeah, too much horror can struggle the mind. Yeah, I'm clearly ready for this. But yeah, so too much horror can struggle the mind, and you need to break it up with a bit of humor. And so we chose three horror movies that really focus on the horror genre and try to work a laugh out of you.
Oh yeah. First of which, should we name all three of them first?
Yeah, let's just name all three of them.
So we're gonna be talking about Tucker and Dale versus Evil,
Cabin in the Woods,
yeah, and Evil Dead 2.
Number 2.
We'll explain why we chose number 2 when we get there.
I feel like most people know why.
Most people, at the very least, people who watch Evil Dead know why.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we're going to talk about Tucker and Dale. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. These boys, they didn't set out to fight against no evil. They just have a vacation home, and they're trying to fix it up. And some college kids, they come with their prejudginess and just ruin everything. That is the synopsis. That's all you need to say.
That really is. It's directed by Eli Craig. I don't know any other movies by Eli Craig. I don't know if he has made any other, honestly.
If he hasn't, this is a gem, Eli.
Yeah, he knocked it out of the park here. Stars Alan Tudyk, who is masterful here.
Yeah,
he's masterful everywhere. Like, let's be honest, he's one of the greater actors that not a lot of people talk about, I don't think. But when he shows up, he's amazing.
Yeah, he can be. I think the reason, if there is a reason why people don't talk about him, it's because he really blends into the whatever world he's thrown into. This guy can be in. We're talking about Tudyk, right?
Yeah, Alan Tudyk.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, Tyler Labine, who plays Dale, Tucker's counterpart, also very good in this film. But we were just talking about Tudyk, and I want to make sure we were talking about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know Tyler Labine for anything else other than Escape Room, which I saw very early last year, and it didn't really impress me, so I kind of forgot about it.
I have not. I kind of vaguely remember hearing about that one.
Yeah, like it's not terrible. I don't remember being terrible, but like it's just so boring. And I don't remember his character in it. I remember him being on the screen and me being like, "Is that Dale?" But then I was just like, that was it. Like, I couldn't actually guarantee that it was him in my mind because he looked really different. Like he lost weight and he was very trimmed here in Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Nice. Well, good for him.
Here in Tucker and Dale versus Evil, he's a heavy-set redneck with a shaggy beard and but the most gentle soul ever.
He's a great character.
He's beautiful. And and Tucker, played by Alan Tudyk, is just his best friend who's just trying to help this, his best friend out. Dale's feeling down. He's feeling glum. He's striking out with the ladies, and I guess Tucker is the, the man or the ladies' man.
Apparently,
he doesn't talk to a single girl. I think this whole movie, but
it must be his bowling fingers. It must be.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man. Them bowling fingers, they go through something in this movie.
They do. Man, it's kind of hard to say.
Well,
I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this movie without talking about all the good stuff that happens.
We can say that this is the best, in my opinion, it's one of the best interpretations of miscommunication.
Yes.
At every level.
Yes.
I can't think of that typically, in a lot of movies, that's what, enhances the plot. It's kind of like a writer comes like, we need more conflict. What do we do? Let's throw in a character who just doesn't understand the actual scene that's going on. It's like somebody walks into a, it's that scene where it's like somebody's filming a movie shoot and it's a robbery scene, and you have this hero who comes out of nowhere and stops the robbery only to find out that they just broke up a movie. It's like Spider-Man swings in and webs up some robbers, and it's just complete miscommunication.
Yeah. This is the whole movie.
But I mean, like, that's a terrible example, but like that's what this movie does is like every plot point in this movie is a miscommunication. Every beat is a new miscommunication between the college kids and these two rednecks.
Right. I guess it really is just because I don't think it's really given away anything to say that Allison, who is also a love interest, ends up injured and in their vacation home because they're helping take care of them. And the college students are like, we better save Allison from these rednecks.
Yeah, the rednecks kidnapped her and they're holding her hostage.
Yeah. And one of the best bits is that hatchet bit with the log where he takes that. He's like, I better leave a note. This will do just fine. And Tucker's like, well, hurry up, my face. Never mind. That's a different joke. Gotta set that up. But he leaves them the note with scratching into this log, and all it says is, "We got your friend."
Spelled wrong.
Spelled wrong. And these college kids are like, "Oh my God, they're gonna kill her." That's the whole movie. Yeah, that is the movie.
Yeah, that is the whole movie. It's all it's all miscommunication. Don't judge a book by its cover. Also, it's got that message and everything in it. It's a beautiful spoof on the horror genre. By how do I want to word this? It takes the different view than most horror movies. It's like most horror movies would follow the college students here. Because that's kind of the setup. These college students are going out camping, and there's these. There's a house, a vacation home that two redneck men own, and the horror movie would be the two redneck men start killing the college students. That's how it typically would go. And that this movie though, it takes all of that and it just dissects it all, and it's how it dissects it is perfect. It's hilarious, just super enjoyable romp through the woods.
Right. It's really good. One thing I'll say about it that might turn some people away, does not turn me away, is that there are some gory moments, for sure. Not like Hellraiser level or anything like that.
No.
But some people, I know do not like that, but I wouldn't count it against this movie because it's done in a way that I just can't stop laughing.
Yeah,
It's so
it's really
good.
funny, and like even though it's gory at the same time, it's not gore porn where it's like you watch the person get dismembered or something.
No,
It's like
no.
uh the most you see is like blood flying away or just
Right,
really good makeup and effects.
right,
And it's
right.
like it's really tasteful and really well shot.
Hmm.
Um just super like it's very clever all around. It mines all the good jokes
Right.
without getting too annoying or like overdoing jokes way too many times. Yeah, just how events go from ridiculously bad to ridiculously worse
Yeah.
is just it's so much fun to watch. Um,
I did mention that Allison was Dale. I think I didn't say it was Dale's love interest.
yeah, the one
Uh,
who's striking out with the ladies.
right. And like he asks he asks her if there's anything she'd like to do, or maybe the other way around. And he's like, "Well, we got some board games," and she's like, "Oh, okay." And he pulls out Trivial Pursuit, and that's one of the bits is that
Mhm.
he at the very least Tucker tells him he's as dumb as a bag of rocks, or a box rather, and but he just knows all the trivia in the trivia box,
Yeah.
and he so the college kids come up to the window and see Allison at the table. They say they're forcing her to play board games. Like it's the worst torture they could think of.
Right.
Oh man. Which is funny because that's how we spent most of our undergrad was playing games.
Yeah. Yeah. We weren't the partiers. These kids are
No,
definitely the partiers.
definitely, definitely. Maybe not Allison. I think she just kind of got swept up in the crowd, and that's kind of part of the story too, I suppose.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Like so we lived in you and I lived with Ken and a bunch of other people. It was
Right.
like
Too many
seven
people.
people living. Yeah, 7 people living in a 5 bedroom like house,
Yeah.
3 floors, and but our friend Ken was on the top floor. I was on the ground floor. I watched this movie, and like once the credits rolled, I ran upstairs and I was like, Ken, I gotta watch this movie with you. And I rewatched this
Right,
movie
right immediately. Wow.
immediately. Yeah, I did not waste a second. I was just like, Ken
Was
is
I
gonna love
not
this
there?
movie. You weren't there that day. I think you went. Um, I think you and Sarah were like went to home to visit or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, I had to watch it with Ken immediately. Like, and that is a problem that all the movies we're gonna talk about today have with me is that I think it is okay to say up front that I love all three of these movies
They're all pretty
and
good.
have at points in my life considered them to be perfect, and then I've watched them so many times that they've stopped being perfect. And this movie. Thankfully, I've had a few years. I think I haven't watched this one for maybe a year and a half or 2 years. So it's like it felt fresh again. I was laughing a lot,
Good,
but I
good.
definitely watched this movie way too much. Um, I know a lot of people are just, Jesus, why you watch way too many movies? And it's like, yeah,
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
it's a problem. It's a thing too with anxiety that you rewatch things that you enjoy, and I do have anxiety, and so that is very common. I will rewatch a lot of television shows or movies because I know what's gonna happen. There's no drama. I don't have to.
Yeah.
There's nothing to worry about. I can just sit back and be like, I know what's gonna happen. I could just enjoy this. It's like I know I love this, and I do love Tucker and Dale. It's just a fucking fun movie.
I think with you, I have watched Fringe, I think 3 times.
Yeah,
I
Fringe
know,
the
I
TV
know
show.
two. I know 2 times. But we
Yeah.
may have watched it together 3 times.
Yep. And I have now shown, I think, 4 people Lost,
Right.
where I have just watched the entirety of Lost, with new people each time. Same with Fringe. I think,
Twice with me.
yeah, I think twice with you, and I think once with somebody else. So definitely have seen that show 4 times.
It's worth it, and to an extent, it's worth it.
I think so. But yeah, back to
Well,
Tucker and Dale.
yeah.
I feel like maybe this might be just like a very short threesome today because there's not much to.
There's not much to complain about.
Yeah, there's not much to complain about, and I really think people should see all these movies because they're all enjoyable, they're all fun.
They really are.
But Tucker and Dale specifically, it does a great job at delivering just nonstop humor with tons of heart. It's like that's always the best type of comedy is if you're able to laugh so much, but then at the same time you feel connected to the characters, you feel emotional. Yeah, you feel good at the end. You feel emotional when they're hurt. You're pulling for them to win if they're in a tight situation, and I mean that's all of Tucker and Dale is one giant tight situation.
That being said, don't watch it with your 5-year-old. Don't do that.
I say watch it with your 5-year-old. They're old enough.
You know what I think? Actually, 5 is honestly probably young enough that it won't scar them too much because they're honestly not going to pay enough attention to the movie.
Yeah, but when they see like half a body on screen, they might be like, "Oh my god!
Oh my god, Mom, what are we watching?" Yeah.
I say I'm not messed up, but like I'm definitely been messed up. I don't blame Indiana Jones for messing me up and seeing that guy's heart ripped out of his chest.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
that. There's nothing. We own the movie. The kid will see it.
Well, yeah, well, I do. We might talk about the college kids a little bit more if we were to say anything else about this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of them are just very stereotypical characters. Even what I would say is the main character of the college kids. He is even a stereotype.
Yeah.
But man, that guy, Jess Moss, I think that I'm getting the right actor.
Yeah.
He just plays over the edge so well.
Yeah, he really does chew the scenery here a lot, and it's great. Like he just goes for this role.
He does.
And I think that is actually something I wanted to talk about was the stereotypes. They do play against those pretty well too because Jesse Moss's character, I would say, he's got anger management issues. He's like that frat bro who has anger management. Well, he's not frat bro, but that's kind of how
they're
he
all
acts
a part of all the guys at least are a part of this frat.
Yeah, so he does act that way a lot, and but at the same time, they get ready to tell a scary story, and he takes a puff on an inhaler because he's got asthma. And, it's just like,
but no, it's right after he hits a joint. He hits a joint, and then he puffs the inhaler.
But it's just like they do that like every character does have their stereotypical things, but they also have that one little tidbit about them that breaks that stereotype. Like with Tucker, he's the dumb redneck, but at the same time, he knows everything about that trivia game.
He knows everything. Yeah.
He knows everything.
Anything that he's heard, he can repeat it. I got this dumb brain.
But yeah, they do a really good job at that. I forgot once you mentioned that, it reminded me.
But I would say that the most stereotypical out of all of the college students is probably Chloe, because she's like playing the stereotypical sorority girl who dresses up like she's going to the club to go camping. And in fact, one of the other college students, Naomi, even says after she was complaining, "Well, if you didn't wear your fucking stripper boots, Or stripper heels probably, but
yeah, something like that.
It was funny, but
yeah, I will say the college students are, and after watching it so many times, they're the part that brings it down for me.
right,
Because they are kind of just dumb kids that I don't really relate to because I'm not like any of them.
Yeah,
The one
it's
kid,
like, how
the
did
one
you?
kid
I was
I
gonna
was gonna
say,
say the one kid. Go ahead, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, how did these guys even get into college? And then I was like, a lot of people get into college.
Yeah, most colleges accept anybody. It's it means money.
Right.
But the one kid that I kind of related to, like even barely, is like the first kid to die.
Right.
And it's just like, and how he dies is great, but it's just,
Yes.
that was the one kid that I'm like, yeah, I kind of, and I only feel like that because of how he looked, honestly. He just kind of looks like the kid I would hang out with.
Well, he wore like, not coveralls, but he wore a worker shirt with
his name on it.
his name on it. Maybe because they never actually say his name. And he's
I think
also
so.
the kid with the joints. So I think that really he's there for anyone to relate to.
Yeah, he's just the easy one. But
he's just the easy one. That's right.
But it's just like what makes the movie is the Alan Tudyk and Tyler Labine, like their chemistry is perfect.
Oh yeah.
Their comedy is just amazing, and like I'm rolling on the floor with everything Alan Tudyk says.
Yeah.
And does.
Yeah.
Like,
they love each other. His humor is a lot of the humorous things that happens to him are physical things, more so than Dale, which I didn't realize until right now.
And then Alan is just perfect at like facial expressions. Like he knows exactly how to pull that laugh, and you see the movie for them. You don't watch it for the college kids. But the first viewing, the college kids don't ruin it at all. It's on like the 10th, the 15th viewing that you're just like, fuck these kids. Like
right. It's really there just all to set up the ending, obviously, and to make it a spoof on horror.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. A horror movie has to have a kill count, so they had to have plenty of people to add to a kill count here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a fun take on the horror genre. Highly recommend. I would, if I were to star it, at one point in my life, I would have given it 4 stars, of course. I'd still give it 3.5 right now.
Fuck yeah.
Like, total fun.
Yep. Definitely up front, will say, is worth it. Lots of fun. A lot of love for this movie. Just as much as I hope Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk actually have for each other, because the bromance is real in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to do another one. They need to do a sequel.
Good. Yeah, that would be so good.
Yeah.
Well,
it could be about they could fix up the house and find out it's haunted. I'm writing your movie here, like Craig. Like, make the damn sequel. They finish the house. It's haunted by all the college students' ghosts. Oh my god.
There you go. Come on.
Contact Eli Craig.
Come on back, Eli. Bring us another one.
Yeah. If you haven't made any other movie, this is why you're waiting for your sequel. You probably made like 10 other movies out there, and I'm being a complete asshole right now.
Who knows? You know what? I got a click right here, and he directed that Little Evil on Netflix.
I don't think I've seen it.
And then a couple of movies that I have not heard of. The Tao of Pong.
Sure.
Oh, actually, I think I have seen that movie. It's really goofy. And he did Zombieland, dude.
What? Did he write or did he
No,
direct?
Zombieland the series. It was a series.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Nobody had no idea.
Cabin in the Woods.
So, speaking of my anxiety, we're gonna move on to Cabin in the Woods. Yet another film I watched back to back multiple times. Not immediately on this one because I watched it in
Well, we
theaters.
watched it
I
in
didn't.
theater, yeah. That would have
Yeah,
been really
Tucker and
expensive.
Dale. Tucker and Dale came out on Netflix. It's still available on Netflix. I don't remember where we watched Cabin in the Woods. I own it, so I didn't watch it on a stream site.
I believe this one was on Hulu.
Hulu. It's directed.
I can't remember.
It's on a streaming service. It was directed by Drew Goddard. This is his directorial debut. Again, coming full circle, Drew Goddard worked on Lost for maybe like 2 seasons or so. One of my favorite writers on there when he had the episodes he wrote. I love his writing. The just the circle he runs around in. It's Drew Goddard, Joss Whedon. Basically everybody that worked on Another Love of Mine, which is Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Oh yeah.
That's what this movie is. It's like that crew. I mean, it doesn't have Neil Patrick Harris, sadly, but
no.
But it's directed by Drew Goddard and it's written by Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon, and like Joss Whedon has soured a little bit since Avengers 2 for me, but he's still like I still love a lot of the work he's done, especially like 90s and early 2000s. Like the man's a genius, and Avengers is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
But it's like Avengers 2, I didn't really like it. The Justice League movie, I don't specifically know what changes were his, but I didn't really like it. He's kind of gone downhill with his last few movies for me. But here, with Cabin in the Woods, him and Drew Goddard, in 3 days, wrote what I still believe to be like a perfect script. Like
it is. I think you're right. I mean, if this is the version of the script that they wrote in those 3 days,
I'm sure it went through edits and changes, but like it took them 3 days to write this idea.
It was it's, I would say, script definitely masterfully done. Mm-hmm. A lot of this movie masterfully done. There's honestly not too much to complain about. You continue.
And the synopsis is of the movie is a group of college kids. Again, they go to a cabin in the woods, and I don't really want to, like, if you haven't seen this movie, I don't really want to spoil anything about it. There is I will say there's an organization that is, how would you put it? It's making their moves for them, kind of.
They're the puppet masters.
Yeah, what the college students are doing at the cabin, the organization is like the puppet masters. They're kind of like making sure that a story plays out.
Right.
And that story is, the classic horror movie. And that's the movie in a nutshell. It takes so many elements of the classic horror movie and turns it on. It reveals it. It takes the curtain off, and it's like, this is the joke. This is the horror trope.
And it does it very, very well. And the reason why we lump this with these ones is because while this movie has some legitimately horrifying moments, it is just, there's just, some of these characters are so funny. Yeah. And especially for me, Sisterson and Hadley, the two guys who kind of run the organization, they just have a blast the whole time. Mm-hmm. Which I know with the audience knows nothing about the movie, they're like, oh really? Yeah. They must be some real sadistic shits. But they're played by Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford.
Bradley Whitford of Get Out.
Yep, in Get Out, yeah. Which I just watched that for our next episode. That's good. But that's neither here nor there.
Spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. Anyhow, yeah, their chemistry is so good. They crack me up, and I'm sorry if I interrupted your synopsis.
No, No, that was the synopsis. That was
Okay,
it.
good.
And I was gonna lead into the cast because you're right. Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford are, beautiful in this film together because
Right.
they play off each other so well. Their chemistry is great, and that everybody that is grouped together, the chemistry is great because the
Yeah.
college kids, like
Yeah.
a huge list of all of them. It's Kristen Connolly, Chris Hemsworth, Fran Kranz. Then I'm kind of running out of that. I don't remember the other two people.
Jesse Williams and Anna Hutchinson.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't remember them, but I remember the other three. Everybody plays great, and it's like this is Chris Hemsworth right around when Thor's starting to take off.
Right.
So Chris Hemsworth is about to he was already famous beforehand, but he's become crazy famous the past decade. And this is the beginning of that. This is before he became crazy famous, and now right here he's just handsome buff man.
Yeah. In his isness.
Yet again, we have that tweaking of the stereotypes, because Joss Whedon has described this film as like a loving hate letter to the horror genre because they hate what the horror genre has become with torture porn and everybody's a stupid college kid. These five are not stupid college kids. They're all smart. It's so it's so hilarious.
They were in college for a reason.
Yeah, they're there to study.
Yeah.
It's like it opens up like when you're meeting all the characters, three of them have a discussion about which textbooks you should be reading.
Right.
I mean, obviously they have, college kid personalities that are, they all act like they're partiers still. Mm-hmm. But three of them literally are just like, you should bring these textbooks on the vacation. It's like, if we're going to be doing this, you shouldn't bring that one. Such and such teacher covers it all in his own lecture.
Yeah.
It's just like, you don't see this in horror movies. And
they're all
the dumb kids.
All pretty brainy, which
yeah. Even the stoner character played by Franz Kranz, who is my favorite character in the movie. Marty is
so good.
Yeah, I love him.
So good.
But it's just like he rolls up. His introduction is great. I won't spoil his introduction, but he rolls up and you're like, okay, this is the dumb character. Right. This is the one that we're gonna be able to laugh at, and you find out he's not really dumb. It's like he is a stoner throughout the whole movie.
Right.
But
he's living in a world of reefer.
He's living in a world of reefer, but at the same time, you get hints that he's an electrician.
Right.
It's like there's an intelligence behind here because he kind of the horrors don't work too well on him. He kind of sees through a little bit of the game that's going on. And then you got the flip side of, the organization that's doing all this. It's like they've all found a way to do what they do and have a good time.
Right.
And there's like that little mentality there that's just kind of just beautiful to play on, and how Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon play on that is just wonderful.
They did a great job, especially if it only took them 3 days to come up with this idea. I mean, which they are pretty like-minded and have great imaginations. So I'm not really surprised that they got together and made a beautiful baby.
I do remember hearing, I don't know if this is true at all, and I don't remember where I heard it from, but I do remember hearing that Drew Goddard was really annoyed writing with Joss Whedon, because whenever Joss Whedon would write a line that he thought was perfect, he would jump up and slam a fake football down and be like, boom! And, he did that. He apparently did that with every line, and Drew Goddard was just like, fucking come on. I don't know if that's true. I just heard it and I was like, I'm gonna believe that's true because it's fucking hilarious to me.
That's good. That's good. Well, yeah, like I said, it's a beautiful baby. I mean, I kind of jokingly just the other day called this Drew Goddard's, it also Joss's, thesis on the horror genre. And like you already mentioned, they call it themselves a love-hate letter. It definitely reads, which is also kind of interesting because these are all the main characters are intellectuals. It reads like a very well written college paper.
Yeah.
Once it's all said and done. And I love that about this movie. I like it, and we were in our undergrad. We were in our freshman year. Like we had just finished writing some of our first college papers.
Yeah, I was still afraid to ride buses. Like you know, I came from a small town where like you drove everywhere. I walked 4 times to the theaters to see this movie, and that was what would you say? That was like a 45-minute walk to an hour.
Yeah, and I didn't mind it at all. And we did take my then girlfriend, now wife, to the movie with us, and she got so tired halfway there. And like it's a pretty far spread out campus, and you know we had to walk all the time to get to classes. Like it wasn't really convenient to jump on a bus and go all the way across campus all the time because of
not for our mindset
stuff. Right, exactly. And especially because, you know, we didn't really care for it. So we were used to being exercise. My wife, she was getting really tired on the way there, and we made it like, I want to say 5/6 of the way to the movie theater. And she was so tired, and we were holding hands, and then all of a sudden she like stubs her toe on a lip in the concrete and goes straight down.
Just eats the concrete.
Just eats it. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And she's like, you didn't stop me or anything. And I was like, it happened so fast. What was I supposed to do? And she was so mad. And then
she had to sit through this movie.
Yeah, she really did enjoy the movie, but she had struggle enjoying it that first time. Because I don't know if she ever told you, but she had the worst headache.
Yeah, she's told me.
Hard.
Yeah.
We probably should have checked if she had a concussion, but.
Yeah, she's okay.
Yeah, she's fine now.
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
And let that be a lesson to you. This movie is so good that even with a terrible, terrible headache,
that's right.
You walk away enjoying it. It's so much fun that you can't just be like, you know, it's like, fuck this headache, but this movie's great.
With a fever, just turn on this movie and you'll be good.
Sarah didn't just come into the room. Hi, Sarah.
No, not at all. Hi.
Hi.
You go with that being a story for the audience, right?
We could edit it out.
She gave consent.
That's enough for me. It makes for a good point of the film.
Yeah, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah, I love you.
He's in trouble.
Yep, I got in a little bit of trouble. Well, I really want to talk more about this movie, but I also don't want to give away the good things about the movie.
Yeah, because that's the problem with this film is there's a lot to talk about that's hidden behind spoilers.
Right.
So I'm okay with throwing up a spoiler wall here, where I will tell you when to come back so that we can talk some fun stuff.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, we're going a little bit deeper, folks.
Spoiler avoiders, skip to minute 47:40. Thank you.
Yeah. Hit me up with the first topic.
I think the first thing that I think we should talk about is the list of monsters. Because I'm sure that of those 3 days it took them to write that script, that list of monsters had to be like one whole day.
Right.
They just sat there and they just... There's a billboard in the movie. If you haven't seen it and you don't mind the spoilers and you're still here with us, there's a billboard in the movie because the organization, one of the ways they deal with having to murder a bunch of college kids for what they do is to bet on how the college kids are going to get murdered. It's very gruesome. You know, you hear that and you're like, holy crap, that's terrible. and it is terrible. But they have a giant whiteboard.
There you go.
Where they've just listed out like 50 different monsters that they have. And
it's a Deadpool.
like yeah, it's a Deadpool. And it's like I've watched this movie so many times that it's like I pause it and like I love looking at all the monsters on the list. You know, it's like the ones the kids draw in this movie are zombie torture redneck family.
Yeah.
Something like that. Redneck torture zombie family, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But they're completely different.
But there are also zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're completely different than the zombies.
Yeah.
You know, there's robot spider exterminator things. There's a giant snake. I shouldn't say basilisk. Giant snake. Clear rip off of it. You know, Pennywise the Clown.
Yeah, Pennywise the Clown's in it.
But it's a beautiful list, and I'm like, a lot of it is just, you know, shout outs to great horror movies and, you know, little references and love letters, Easter eggs, if you will.
So I think since we did this little spoiler wall thing, we can talk a little bit deeper as to why this movie is read like a thesis.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because it goes through all the beats of a horror movie and explains why this organization is orchestrating this story to happen. Like, for example, there's this creepy old guy named Mordecai, and he's the Harbinger. They have to be warned and decide to go to the cabin anyways. Otherwise,
because all horror movies, or most, I shouldn't say all, but most horror movies, you know, before the characters start getting killed or before they meet the haunt, there's always one character who warns them about doing what they're about to do.
Right. Yep. The guy in the truck in Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
He tells them there's blood curse, and you know, just almost every horror movie, at least where there's a group of college kids going to go do something, there is a what in the thesis is called a harbinger.
The Harbinger.
And if they're not warned about it, I think it's something like, I would say, relative to cosmic fairness. Like I don't want to super spoil the movie. But for this, it's a ritual, really. What they're doing. And for it to work,
tradition.
They have to be warned. Yes, it's a tradition.
Yeah, and everything has to play out the exact same way. Well, not always the exact same way. Relatively the exact same way.
And the reason why there are all these monsters is because the next step is they have to choose.
Yeah, they have to choose their fate.
Yeah. They have to transgress.
They've been warned not to do this. Now they've chosen to ignore the warning. Now they have to choose their fate.
Yeah,
and
I think horror movie setup.
Yeah, and I think the way you put it as, you know, this being their thesis on it, I think that's perfect because you know, it really is just like they dissected the horror genre and they tried to fix it. Because again, it's a love-hate letter. They hate what the horror genre's become.
Right.
So they try to revamp the genre. And
I think it was kind of like them being like, these are what the rules are, and you guys are straying away for that just for the pain and gore.
And it's like, I don't want to say that this movie specifically did that, but I do feel like, you know, there's still a lot of garbage horror movies that come out, but I feel like in recent years we've had some really good horror movies. And I'm not gonna put I'm not gonna put the whole credit of that on Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon, but I do feel like, at least for me as a moviegoer, this was kind of a turning point for the genre, because it's like, you know, I didn't start going to movies every single week until I came down to college, and that was just because, you know, when I lived with my parents, I didn't have, the ability or really the care, because it's like
Right.
I watched films with my parents. It's like they didn't want
Right.
to go to the theaters all the time, so we went when we could. But for most times, we just watched movies at home. I came
Mm.
down to college. I'm like, I don't have access to VHSs anymore, DVDs
Right.
to watch.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, but my friends and I can go, see a movie.
It's a great
And so
way
I
to
did that
blow
a
off
lot.
steam too, especially
Yeah.
if you're a student. Just take 3 hours out of your day, go have, because I would argue that it's a better way to let off steam than to go partying, but to each their own.
Yeah.
Because I
Some
definitely
people,
did some of that too.
and I would say a lot of people partying is much better stress reliever than seeing a
Yeah,
movie. But for our mindsets, it was perfect. And
for
especially
sure.
this movie, like in college, this movie was perfect for us.
Yeah, it was. I think we talked about this movie for weeks and weeks after we saw it.
Yeah, because it's, as this movie dissects the horror genre, so did we want to dissect it. There's a
Yeah,
lot
right.
to pull apart. Like, I mean, it's not hard to understand. There's not a deep analysis or anything. Just explore all the Easter eggs, all the references. There's a throwaway line of like, you know, we haven't fucked, America hasn't messed up since 1980 something. And it's
Right.
just like, well, what movie came out in 1980 that they're
Right.
referencing
Yeah.
here?
I want to actually see that movie. That is the spirit. That is the sequel I want, or the prequel.
hmm Yeah, I mean that's another thing, is a lot of people are wanting there to be a sequel or a prequel. It's like, how do they collect the monsters? How do they do this? I really don't want this movie to have any other, I don't want it to have a sequel
Yeah.
or a prequel. I just want it to be standalone. It told its story. It's really fascinating. If Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon want to come back and write another horror movie that's similar, like another, like, a dissection of some other kind of genre, I'm
Right.
down for that.
Yeah.
They can do the slasher genre next, even though that's already, basically been covered by Wes Craven with Scream. But
Right.
like,
Yeah.
they can choose another horror genre to go down, but it's just like the horror trope, or the horror topic of college kids going to a cabin in the woods. There's no better movie than this one, I think.
Yeah.
And
No,
and maybe it's wrong, but
I'm with you that it doesn't need another movie. I'm with you. But if like somebody paid them the monies of the world and said, please make more, I would like to see 1986 or 69, whatever it is.
yeah,
No,
it
it
was in
wasn't
the
the
80s, I
60s.
think.
It was, I think it is 80s or 90s. I can't
Yeah, I think it was like 83 or something. I don't know.
remember. Anywho, uh, yeah, I think we've been done talking about spoilers for a little while, and maybe
Yeah.
we've said what we should about this film.
Yeah, closing statement for you?
Yeah, obviously, I think we made it evident that we really love this movie. And I do. I feel like same thing with you with what you said about Tucker and Dale. I think I spent enough time away from this movie to make it fresh for me again. If you watch it over and over again, it is gonna lose a little bit of it. But like I said, we watched it over and over again because we loved talking about it. Like there's a lot to this movie, a lot packed in, and I wouldn't necessarily call it a comedy by any means. Just the parts that are funny are so funny that you gotta lump it in with these movies, and definitely 100% worth it. You should see this
movie. Yeah, agree with that all 100%. I still give it 4 stars. I have seen this way too many times, and it did get old for me. There was, like, I think 3 years ago where I was like, I can't watch this movie anymore.
Right.
And so I haven't watched it for 3 years, and again we watched it this year, and I was like, well, maybe not 3 years, maybe it was like 2, but I watched it again. I'm like, yeah, it's fresh again, and I really enjoyed it again this time. I was able to, I was still on my phone for a good portion of it because I remembered most of it. But it's still is still laughed at all the jokes. The kills are boring in this movie, honestly. There's not many great kills, and a lot of them just kind of like happen and then are done with. But I'm not there for that. It's like where most horror movies, the kill is kind of a fun, exciting part of it. Here, I'm there for everything else. It's all so wonderfully done. Just an absolute, yes, it does get old if you watch it a lot.
Sure.
But
for any movie.
For that first viewing, it's just great. There's nothing wrong with it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe the very, very last shot isn't as pleasing as I would want it to be. I won't spoil what that is, of course. I have a certain other type of description for that last shot that I would have liked to see, but I don't care. It's fun all the way through.
I think like with that last shot comes another what do I want to say? Not theme or motif really. It's not maybe the message. In that is what something that they were trying to say with this film. There which I'll let the audience come to that.
The audience come to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my closing statement. I love this movie. Still gets a 4-star rating. Marty, played by Franz Kranz, is honestly top 5 favorite characters of all time. I would say easy.
Star of the show.
Yeah, like he just nailed it. I mean, all the actors do a great job.
Oh, they do.
But for me, Franz Kranz is just over and above and beyond. That's what I'm looking for.
So well written. Like that's. I mean, Franz Kranz obviously brought a whole shit ton to the role, but Marty is so well written.
Well, it's like it's also like when I found out that like Franz Kranz was like in his 30s or whatever when he did this, like I literally thought the guy was like 20 because he just pulls off a young college student so well.
Yeah. He even looks like Shaggy Rogers.
He would be a perfect choice for Shaggy.
Yeah, he'd be a great choice for
Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard was perfect too.
Oh yeah,
but if he wants to pass the baton,
there you go. It did give him laryngitis. So, Evil Dead 2.
1987.
1987. It's the second one.
It is.
But is it really? I guess that's more of. We'll wait for the discussion for that. It is the second.
The directors or the writer, Sam Raimi and Scott Spiegel.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Raimi has said that this is a direct sequel of the first movie,
but
even though it completely contradicts a lot of the first movie.
It does completely contradict a lot of the first movie. Something that I read when I was curious about it, because I had seen all 3 of these movies and a while back. And when I watched these, several times I should say too, but it has been a while. And when I started watching this movie, because I usually watch all 3 of them for comparison, and like I said, it's been years since I've done that. And I was watching it, and I was like, wait a minute, I remember a lot of this from the first movie. And then I remember thinking about the opening of this movie as a recap of the first.
Yeah.
But really what it is, at least from what I looked into it, is that it is what the writer called a requel. He I guess he didn't have the rights to Evil Dead, but wanted to kind of redo the movies, so he rewrote it a little bit, and that's how we got this movie. But the same main character,
Ash. Ash played by the amazing Bruce Campbell.
Oh yes, Bruce Campbell and his iconic role, Ash J. Williams. I didn't know.
I'm sure he's done other stuff, of course. But has he done anything that's like also really famous?
I don't know that if he's done anything that's also really famous, but he does a cameo in all of Sam Raimi's films. Like every single one of the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Well, I guess those three.
Yeah, let's look at Sam Raimi's life too. Like how do you go from directing a movie like Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead and well, he didn't direct the remake Evil Dead, but like, he was involved on it. But like how do
The
you go from
Army of
there to
Darkness
Spider-Man?
is the sequel to this.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be honest. I've never actually seen Army of Darkness.
We should watch it sometime. It's fun.
Yeah, I've seen the first Evil Dead, and I did not like it.
Yeah.
Seen Evil Dead 2, which I will say before we synopsize that I love Evil Dead 2. And I've seen the remake of Evil Dead, which I hated.
Okay. I thought it was okay.
Torture porn.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Yeah, you're right. This, while there are some gory moments, I would not consider torture porn. Mostly because a lot of the effects are strange, old school practical effects like stop motion and shit like that.
And it's beautiful.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. Super goofy. So yeah, I should synopsize the movie. So Bruce Campbell, Ash, and his girlfriend are driving down the road and decide to break into someone's house to have a romantic
fuck the other.
evening.
Yeah, well, fuck the other kids that were involved with him in the first movie. They're no longer part of the story, I guess.
They're no longer part of the story.
Just written out.
They're written out. And requel, man. It's a requel. And anyways, they find this book and some recordings, and he decides to play the recordings because, you're in some strange man's house. Why not listen to his personal tapes?
Yeah, of course.
And it unleashes the Evil Dead, if that's what we're gonna call it.
Yeah, the house in the woods again.
The house in the woods are now cursed due to the incantations that were read upon on the tape.
Yeah.
And
creepy possessed people, rapey trees.
Rapey trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, I don't know if it's necessarily spoiling to say that girlfriend
there's
dies.
a rapey tree.
She dies like right away, so I don't really feel like that's giving away too much. And then becomes part of the haunt, and he has to deal with that. Meanwhile, other group of characters, the person the daughter of the people who owned the house, and I don't know, her boyfriend. I'm not sure what the one character, the blonde guy's character really is. Man. And two Hicks, really is the only way to describe that. Which, we just talked about Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and not to judge a book by its cover, but these guys were kind of dicks.
Yeah, they're just kill count fodder.
Yeah, for sure. And they come to the cabin, find Ash there.
Going absolutely insane.
And they lock him in the cellar, but eventually, they all start helping to try to fight against the Evil Dead.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we're getting very spoilery now.
Yeah, I got a little too close there, but I backed off the brakes. I put on the brakes, anyways, before I rolled down.
But yeah, like for me with Evil Dead, a lot of the fun is watching Ash's character just go mad, because it's very slapstick, very like Three Stooges almost. Right. It's like there's moments where there's a time where Bruce Campbell's hand gets possessed by the haunt, and it's like slapping him and like breaking things on his face, and it's just like it's him versus his hand for like 5 minutes, and it feels so Three Stooges, because he's like getting tossed, he's flipping, he's getting stuff thrown in his face, breaking things. Like I love it, and nobody pulls it off better than Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, he does such a good job. And that I don't think it necessarily spoils it either, because the image is so iconic. that's what leads to him having the chainsaw tied to his hand eventually.
Yeah, because you've definitely if you love this stuff, like if you've never watched any of the Evil Deads before, I would say watch this, watch the TV show. It's Ash versus the Evil Dead. I haven't personally seen it, but I've heard a lot of people love it if they love Evil
That's
Dead
good.
too.
Yeah, I haven't actually.
But that's the iconic shot of it is him with that chainsaw hand.
Right. Yeah. Ripped up.
How does it work?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, this movie is super goofy, I would say. And like sometimes you're not sure if it's trying to be super goofy, like because it's so
horrifying.
So surreal. Yeah, it is horrifying. Yeah. There are horror, like he plays on the horror elements while making it goofy at the same time.
Yeah, it's a weird juxtaposition, like where Tucker and Dale is very clearly comedy forward.
Right.
Where Cabin in the Woods is a funny dissection of horror.
Right.
This is just like it's a blend that shouldn't exist, but it does, and it's for some reason it's great. How he juxtaposes it is like the horror comes from like the weird sound effects, the even though we love the creepy, goofy
claymation
effects, the effects and everything, they're still creepy.
They are.
Creepy. It's like they're not right. They're weird. They're just weird enough to
they're weird enough your brain a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And this is like Sam Raimi is great with this kind of stuff here, and like I love it. I don't know why I've never seen Army of Darkness.
It's honestly more of the same except for set in medieval times. I would say that it's more of a fantasy trope with horror elements than this movie is. A fantasy romp, I think, would be better way to say it. But with a lot of horror elements. It's a lot of fun. We'll watch it sometime because it's good.
But like I don't know, even though I love this movie, and I've seen it quite a lot, nowhere near as much as Cabin in the Woods or Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, even though they're more recent films. I've watched them a lot more. This is probably like my fifth watching of Evil Dead 2.
Couldn't tell you how many times I watched it. The friends I grew up with really, really liked it. And I gotta be perfectly honest, it's not my favorite of the three. But I enjoy watching it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think honestly, watching Evil Dead and then watching this, keeping in mind that Sam Raimi was like, I would just want to redo this. Really, that's why I want to do a sequel. I think that honestly makes this movie better for me because you got that first movie where to me, Evil Dead, I think he was trying to make a serious horror film, and
he was. There was a lot going for it too. It's like he gets that sound design right. It's like the screaming through the woods with the fast camera. When the haunt's like rushing at the cabin, like that stuff's good. Like it does. Like he does it in this movie too, and it's just like it's really creepy and really unnerving. The rapey tree, like that's terrifying. And in a lot of the basement effects, like in that first movie, are pretty good.
Right.
It's just
the basement scenes are really good.
But it's just I don't like it still. It's like it's still. I don't watch that one ever. I've watched it once. I've watched
you're talking about
the remake
of
it
one.
once.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But it's just like, I mean, that's what I'm saying is like the first one has a lot going for it. But it's still the whole product altogether just doesn't ever make me want to come back to it. Whereas this one,
I'm with you.
Yeah, this one I don't know why, but the slapstick and the horror blend together so well.
I don't know if I would say it blends together so well, so much as I would say the blend is what do I want to say? It's like an irritation that you keep on going back to. I don't know. I like it. Like I said earlier, it makes your brain hurt a little bit because you're not sure is it funny?
Yeah.
But it is. Like, then
Yeah.
invariably you'll laugh because it just keeps on going.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because at first it's creepy, and then it ramps up to being almost silly, and then it goes over the hill, and you
Yeah.
laugh at it. You can't help.
Yeah, I mean, but it's so funny. But like I'm saying, like the creepiness of it is the background too. It's like
Right.
he blends that horror, that sound design really. Like for me, it was a lot about the sound design because there's a lot of loud background noise, or like not really background noise, but it's just like that screaming like sound when the haunt's coming at you. That like even though what's happening and playing out on set on screen is just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm unnerved because of how it, because of that haunt, because of what's
you don't know what's gonna happen in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Yeah. And it's like for me it does blend well.
Yeah, I guess I don't have anything bad to say about the blend because it is why I come back to this movie, is for this just strange mix. I guess I am putting out there for the audience that I think it is very so surreal, but I like that kind of thing anyways. So yeah, I guess I would say it is well blended in that case.
I guess it's just a juxtaposition really. It's not, maybe it's not blended well, but there is that, it's just a perfect juxtaposition of horror and comedy. And but for me there is one bad thing, and that's that I don't care about the story again. Like even with the original Evil Dead, like for me, the only reason I watched this movie is Bruce Campbell. I love watching him just fight. Like it's so much fun just to watch him just struggle through everything and just fight. But like I don't care about when it bounces to the oncoming teenagers or whoever's coming to the cabin, the daughter of the person who owns it and the Hicks.
Yeah.
I don't care about them. I don't, like when it jumps to them, I'm like, just go back to Bruce Campbell. I don't fucking care about these characters.
I feel like I cared about the daughter character just because I thought that she was going to give more story. This is being the first time I watched this. Mm-hmm. I felt like she would have given more story about the book and stuff, but she really doesn't. The point of this movie, I don't think really is the plot. It's the goofy ass haunt.
Yeah, and it's like, again, not all movies need to have that. Airplane definitely didn't have like a strong plot keeping it going.
Yeah.
But here I think that it could be helped with a bit of a stronger. If I cared about the characters more, I guess it would help me a lot. Right. Because I only care about Bruce Campbell. I only care about his fight.
Yeah.
The other people can get possessed or whatever. I don't give a damn.
The other people, like you said, are there to have a kill count. Because otherwise it would be Bruce Campbell fighting puppets in the woods. That would be a fun Jim Henson movie.
I'd be down for that for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
make an hour and 20-minute movie of him fighting the Muppets, like fighting possessed Muppets. I'm down. But don't get his damn son on it, because that stupid Muppet cop movie with what's her face that came out recently, Melissa McCarthy. Yeah, that was just trash.
Yeah.
And I watched it. I sat in a theater and watched it, and then I took the cab home. And I bitched to the cab driver for the 20-minute drive home. That's how much that movie pissed me off, is that I wasted this guy's, like, his whole cab ride. He was a talker, too. He wanted to talk, and I kept telling him to shut up so I can bitch about this movie, basically. Like, God, I hated that movie. So, no, he's not involved. We'll summon Jim Henson.
We'll summon Jim Henson, which the whole world will thank us, so.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll summon Jim Henson and then Bruce Campbell and
he knows what the afterlife.
Get Sam Raimi involved,
like, so he can really bring a new element to this film.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get them all involved. Make Ash versus the Muppets.
Ash versus
Evil Muppets. The Evil Dead Muppets. Ash versus the Evil Dead Muppets.
They're gonna
I did
put
have
that
a
on
fun.
Broadway.
I did have a fun fact about this movie that when I Wikipedia'd it, I found out that apparently Sam Raimi and Scott Spiegel wrote this while they were living in a house with the Coen brothers,
What?
Frances McDormand, Kathy Bates, and Holly Hunter.
Why were they all there?
I don't know, but they're apparently all living together, and that's where most of the movie was written, when they were living in that house.
Those hippies.
And I just thought that's like a great, that's a great story. I feel like there has to be something there. I never would have thought that Sam Raimi ran in the same.
I want that
same
movie.
crew.
Like,
right?
Just make a movie about that. I bet there's some
Yeah.
real shenanigans going on there.
And you find out it was just like 6 very studious.
Yeah,
Nothing happened.
Students,
they weren't partying. They're all just like sitting in their rooms, and Sam's just like, I gotta write here. I'm just writing my script.
Well, so this movie, and I guess honestly, this whole universe has a gigantic cult following.
Mm-hmm.
It is huge. So if you haven't heard about this, I'm a little surprised. I'm not really surprised if you haven't watched it, because but I'm surprised if you haven't heard of The Evil Dead, because there's a pretty popular comic book run, all sorts of stuff. People love
TV shows
movie.
Or show.
Yeah, TV show. Yeah, everything. So with Bruce Campbell, which is amazing. Honestly,
oh yeah. And nobody's given more to
project.
a franchise than that man.
No, they tried with what it was supposed to be like. Nah, we're never gonna talk about that movie, the remake.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. I don't ever want to watch that again.
But got a closing statement? Oh no.
Closing statement. Yeah, I would say my closing statement is, I'd give it 3 stars. I feel like it's always been at 3 stars for me. I don't think it was ever higher or lower.
Right.
It's more fun than the first movie. I mean, obviously it's more comedic, of course, but like it just feels like the actors are having more fun. There was a lot of bad things that happened in the first movie. It's like people got lost in the woods, people got hurt a lot. People like it's just like apparently it was like a torture on set. It's like nobody. But it was like it was one of Sam Raimi's like first movies. I don't know if maybe it was his first Evil Dead, but like he hadn't like learned a lot of techniques and like tricks and stuff. So I guess there was a lot to learn from this movie, and it was just a bad set. But people said they still enjoyed.
Is it the same cabin?
It might have been, but I remember they destroyed a lot of the cabin in the first one.
Oh man.
So I'm not sure.
Speaking of that, just the cabin in general, that one long shot where he's being chased by one of the haunts, and he's just running through the cabin, and then all of a sudden he's running in between the walls and like squeezing in between these pipes and like shimmying. How many times did they have to practice for Bruce Campbell to get through there so fast? Because he does it so fast. It is the fastest movie we've seen. Oh man. I suppose they could have filmed it and then fast forwarded it too, but it feels like it's paced normal.
Yeah. No, I love this movie. There's small nitpicks.
Yeah.
I don't like the story too much. I don't connect with any character outside of Bruce, but Bruce is worth every second of it.
Right.
Like what they did wrong in the first one, they did right here. They went goofy. The effects are fun. It's flat out just crazy and shouldn't work, but at the same time, it's so enjoyable that it does work.
Right. I will admit, this is not one of my favorite movies. I do enjoy watching it. And like I said, I've watched it several times, but I don't really want to go and watch it a whole bunch more times in my life. If somebody asks me if I know anything about Evil Dead, then I'll sit down and I'll watch it with them, because honestly, I think it's more fun to talk about than to watch. I like the surreal elements of this movie, but at some points, I just wish that the plot mattered a little bit more, I think, is really my problem with it. But I'm also not sure if that's it. I honestly enjoy watching Army of Darkness more, and I think the fans like that one less.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'd say it's worth watching this movie. Like, it's definitely, for anything, it's worth knowing what the cult fanaticism with it is.
Yeah.
All about. That's what I'll say about this
movie. Yeah, I feel like since I haven't watched Army of Darkness, I always forget that that's how this movie ends.
Right.
It leads directly into the third movie. But it's so out of place that I'm just like, that's dumb. And since I haven't watched Army of Darkness, I always just watch it and be like, that's so fucking stupid. I'm done.
It does. It does. If this movie was the only movie, it does feel like just a big joke.
Yeah.
At the end. But I think Army of Darkness is worth it. It's got that same laugh factor. And honestly, I think the plot matters a little bit more.
I'll have to watch it then. We'll have to put it on our list to go at sometime.
Sounds good.
So,
all
best of the threesome.
Yeah. For me?
Who you choosing?
For me. You know what? It was honestly a hard choice for me, between Tucker and Dale versus Evil and Cabin in the Woods. Both excellent movies. You could definitely talk about Cabin in the Woods for hours. At least you and I could. But I gotta say, I think that I'm going to recommend to bring back Tucker and Dale for another threesome. I think that movie's just so fun and heartfelt, and there's a lot of seriousness to Cabin in the Woods, which is great. Like I said, that movie is near perfect as you say it is too. But I think that Tucker and Dale just puts a spot that's near and dear to my heart. I'll say that. So yeah, go watch that movie.
Well, we have a first then, because I'm splitting. I'm saying in a perfect world, I would definitely bring back Tucker and Dale and Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, definitely.
But that's not the world we live in. It's not perfect, and so I'm bringing back Cabin in the Woods. You gotta choose who you're bringing to your threesome. I'm bringing Cabin in the Woods.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tucker and Dale, but there's some like low hanging fruits that's grabbed. Like they don't overdo anything, and no joke is bad. But there are some jokes that, like, after multiple repeats, I'm just like, oh, come on. Like, that's not my favorite part. But with Cabin in the Woods, like, it took many repeats for that movie to get old on me. It's just genius. That, I love a lot about it. There's so much to explore. I said earlier that there's not a deep analysis. You can look into this movie and see a deep analysis. There's a lot of, it's like, there's a lot of symbolism and, motifs and everything that are tossed about that, people have analyzed and dissected like crazy.
Oh yeah, you get that with any piece of media though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's things here that, like, definitely I'm sure was on Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard's mind when they wrote it.
Right.
But just all around, even like just ignoring all that, it's so much just a fun take on the horror genre.
Yes.
That I feel like, again, I don't want to credit Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, but for me, it did revamp the genre. It made it.
Yeah.
I got excited about seeing horror movies again, because it's like I've been watching a lot and there weren't many that were impressing me. And I see Cabin in the Woods, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll be able to see a lot more fun horror films in the theaters. And
yeah.
Lo and behold, the last 5 years, there have been a lot of fun horror movies I've gotten to see in theaters. There were Scream movies that were coming out, and there were some. I Know What You Did Last Summer, like the 90s and the thousands had, some good horror movies.
Right.
I think The Ring was early thousands.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I feel like this was the movie that made it exciting for me to see horror movies in the theater again because, when I was in high school, I couldn't talk my parents to going into see horror movies with me, and high school friends didn't really want to go see horror movies with me, so I didn't really ever go to the theaters to see horror. This was the first one that I was just like excited to see a horror movie.
Horror definitely was not my favorite genre then. It's still, I wouldn't say is now, but this movie, I would say, if anything, got me hooked on watching them. Because now I do definitely enjoy watching horror movies. If it starts to look like it's going to be a gore pornography,
gore fest,
then I turn it off. But I do get excited about horror movies now, and I think it's because of that movie. So I definitely have no argument with you picking that. I just vote for Tucker and Dale because I think Tucker and Dale's relationship, honestly, reminds me of you, me, and our bestest buddy in the whole world. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I choose.
Shucks. I'm not backing down.
Me neither.
Cabin in the Woods.
That's okay.
There you have it, folks. Yeah, and if you like what you hear, please like, comment, and subscribe through whatever platform you're listening to.
Yes, please.
Or you prefer to listen to.
We appreciate it.
We enjoy having you here with us on the couch.
You made it cozy. Safe travels.
Hey there, Couch Potatoes. The Faceless Leon here to tell you about our special Halloween episode, a horror genre smackdown. We dropped this puppy the day of everything bleak and ghoulish. We hope you have enjoyed our month-long revels thus far, and that you're looking forward to capping it off with something special. Happy Halloween. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. We plan to publish new episodes of this podcast every Thursday evening. If you'd like to give us a comment, please visit us at facebook.com/greenandfaceless. There you'll find many links to our show and to our website. Thanks for listening.